Okay, the last section of this chapter is two parts. One is recording a macro with relative cell referencing, and the other one is saving a macro-enabled template. So one thing that you might have noticed on this first one that we did back here was it didn't matter where we were at to run the macro. We could have been on any cell, and of course we did the button as well. But if we did our keyboard command, it automatically went up here to D3 and E3, and it did our information even up here on D2. Those are absolute. That's how they are normally set up. So we're going to do one with relative cell referencing that it'll run in relation to where we are currently at. The other part is saving as a template. So remember, templates are models, and they can include macros. It's called a macro-enabled template. They do have an XLTM extension. We just have to make sure that we save it. And remember, saving templates for submission purposes is you have to be really careful where you save those. But they do show up then under your personal group and backstage view when you do save those. And when you open those up, then you get that little message bar that says you want to enable those particular macros. So we're going to talk about that one as well. And then there's actually one part is also using macros only workbook. There's one that's called an XLSM format. Again, that includes only macros, no data. And as long as this type of workbook is open, you can use its macros to open any workbook, and we'll talk about that as well. Okay, and we'll see if we get into that one as well. They show an example on page 520 and 521. So we're going to go ahead and start with, this is our 5-2 that we've been working on, and we're going to save this as a macro-enabled template. So I'm going to go File and Save As, and I've been saving mine to my desktop. And let's actually go File, Save As to this PC, and I'm going to save it to this desktop here. And right down here at the bottom, we're going to save it as an Excel macro enabled template. And again, notice that it changes up here. So you got to be real careful to make sure you get it saved to the right spot. And I'm just going to add mine. Of course, you have different names in your book, but I'm calling this as a template. Okay. And I'm going to save it. All right. So I'm going to, this is now our template, right? So under guest data 2, I'm going to select cell A6. Okay, this is where we want the macro to start its commands. So when we create the macro, it's really important because we're going to use relative cell referencing that we're at our starting point. So under developer, we're going to choose this command right here called use relative references. And that's turned on. And now we're going to record our macro. We're going to set this up, and we're going to call it apply fill. And we're going to use our shortcut, which is going to be Control, Shift, and F. Whoops. Come down here. Shift and F. Okay, to this workbook. We're good with that. And then the description is going to be to apply fill color to current row. And we're going to click OK. All right. And now what we're going to do is start recording our macro. So I'm going to press Shift plus the right arrow from A6 to C6 because that's going to be our first fill. And then I'm going to go to the fill colors. So I'm going to go to Home. And for this one, we're going to Font to our pink bucket. We're going to go under our white, which is the first column, darker 15%. Then I'm going to press my home key. And then I'm going to go down arrow 2 times to make A8 my active cell. And I'm going to stop my recording. And then I'm going to check this to turn that off. Okay, and to start over, I'm going to undo that first one. All right, and then I'm going to click on A6, kind of where we started. Now to show you how this would have worked, we would just go Control, Shift, and F, and see how it jumps down. Okay, and then for every even row one, I'm pressing Control, Shift, and F. And it's running that relative to where we're at because it's jumping down. And if I wanted to make this the template, it would be a model, so it would be blank, correct? And then I would turn that off to kind of get to our model part, and then I would save it, and that would be our starting point. Okay, but a macro was used relatively where we were at. It jumped down every 2 rows. Okay, so that's chapter 8. You know, look at the chapter summary. It goes through some things, but you will reinforce these as you go through the different assignments. You should do this pause and practice to match this one. You will turn in those 8.1, 8.2, and then this template, and then you'll start working on your guided projects. So good luck with this. I don't think chapter 8 is too bad. It's a little tedious. That's why I kind of went through slow to make sure I didn't miss any steps. But you should be in good shape to complete this chapter. Thanks, and let me know if you have any questions.